MindSeize has been a pretty enjoyable experience so far, especially for fans of classic Metroidvania games. It definitely brings back memories of older titles in the genre. I've really enjoyed playing it, though I would have liked a bit more customization for specific situations. The lab map, in particular, felt a little disproportionate and tricky to navigate without a thorough exploration. While I would have liked to see some more out there abilities, the ones included were useful, mostly passive and automatic upgrades, though some didn't feel as necessary. The balance in fights could use some work too. A few were extremely difficult, while others were easy to breeze through with minimal effort. Personally, I prefer when things lean toward easier rather than overly challenging. It's also worth mentioning that, being a fairly new release, there are a few minor glitches, but the devs have been actively patching the game, which is a great sign. Pros: the game really captures that Super NES, Super Metroid vibe. While I do think Super Metroid is the better game overall, MindSeize has a similar atmosphere, from its setting to its music. It's also fairly easy to control with a gamepad. The movement feels responsive, though I did encounter some button issues occasionally that led to some frustrating deaths. The story holds up well for a shorter game, though when I say short, I still managed to put in about 15 hours of gameplay. Big shout out to the developer for their passion in addressing bugs and rolling out fixes regularly. It's refreshing to see that kind of commitment, unlike some games on Steam that feel rushed out the door just to make sales. Cons: there are definitely a lot of things that need fixing. I ran into invincible enemies, tricky ledges, glitches that made me fall through surfaces, and times when I got stuck in areas because I didn't have the right abilities yet. This even led to some sequence breaking, which made me second guess if I'd missed something. As with many games of this type, it's hard to remember what abilities are needed for areas you've already passed, which makes finding everything a bit tough without a guide. There wasn't much incentive to switch weapons. Once I got an upgraded version, the older ones became pretty much useless. The sequence breaking also messed with my experience, making certain routes either impossible or less viable for exploration. A more streamlined experience would have been great here. I wish the map had a bit more detail too. If a door was impassable until you acquired a certain ability, some kind of color coding or marker system would have been really helpful. Conclusion: even though it's on the shorter side for the price, MindSeize is still a solid addition for any Metroidvania fan. It has room to grow, but it's a great nod to the classics, and I highly recommend it. The game will likely only get better with time.